I want to welcome you to Dream Chasers Radio with me, your host, Yaya Diamond. What's up, peoples? How you doing? It is a great day, and I'm so very excited to be here with my next guest. She's so cute. I mean, she's adorable. You're gonna love her. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is William L. Johnson, aka Brother Bill, and I want you guys to go look up The Kings of LA. It's a new film I'm in. Very entertaining. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Remember, The Kings of LA. And I'm here with Yaya Diamond.
So we have an amazing author today. You guys know I love authors, man. And we have Miss Micheline Mason, right?
That's right.
Micheline Mason on the show today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So tell us about yourself.
Oh, that's a long story.
The
I'm
short version.
Micheline. I'm in London, in England. I've been a kind of troublemaker all my life. I was born with a very significant impairment, disability, that meant that I wasn't allowed to go to school until I was 14.
Wow.
Then was very determined to escape and go to art college. So I went to boarding school 3 years, and then I did get to art college. And I decided there were more important things to do than designing cornflake boxes, and became an activist, particularly around disability politics.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. That is, I mean, truly amazing. Wow. So, I mean, you weren't allowed to go to school for a while.
No, there was no
goodness.
school. I'm quite an elderly lady, believe it or not. And back in the 1950s, they didn't have schools for disabled people. It really gave you an education. It was much more like going to hospital. So they didn't send me. I had a home tutor for a few hours a week. That was it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So, okay. So then how did you become a writer? Because this to me is just an amazing story. It's just an amazing story.
I always wrote. Well, being tutored at home, or not tutored at home, basically left to look after myself at home, entertain myself. I used to draw all the time, and I used to write all the time. That's what I really did as a child. So writing was something I got good at. And I also realized quite early in my life it was a good way to get heard. Not many people like me, who had been so hidden from the world, had a platform to have my own thinking heard. And I realized that writing was probably the best way to do that quite early in my life.
That's cool though.
Thank you.
That's really cool. And I mean, you know, I mean, I don't see why you weren't heard, but I can understand the plight, you know, the difficulty. You know, there's a lot of people out there that aren't heard, and there's a lot of people out there that are. And I wish that we had more platforms like this one for people who aren't being heard.
Yeah.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So
well, thank you.
Huh?
Thank you for giving us a platform.
I love it. I love it because I wasn't being heard.
Right.
I wasn't being heard. And, you know, I was just being looked at like, oh, she's so pretty, or oh, you know, she's like, you know, she's so innocent. Oh, and then they just stopped listening to me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused. Why am I not being heard? You know? And so I developed this platform.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, because we need to be heard. And definitely, and you have amazing books, by the way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And okay, so you have a couple books on your website, and I wanted to go there really quick and check it out. And I looked at An Ordinary Baby, the phenomenon of the human distress pattern. And then you have a few others. Oh my gosh. And so, but we're gonna go over the phenomenon of the human distress pattern.
Yes.
This seems really complex and wow. Tell me about this book.
Well, it's a result of um well, let me start. We had COVID here as well as everywhere else. And
Right.
I was in my 70s and I thought, oh, I might die any minute now. I've got to write down what I've learned in my 70 years. And
Mm.
one of the great things that I've learned was from a an international um, community of co-counseling,
Right.
which I joined when I was about 25. That's a long time ago. And it to me, it was an amazing experience because I got to meet, not just meet as in sit in a room and see, but really listen to and hear all kinds of people I never would have done in my ordinary life. People are very different to me, different classes, different races, different nationalities, ages, life experiences, and all that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but because I felt in the experience which I had of listening to so many different people, together with the whole theory that emerged, and in fact I helped create to some degree. Um, I thought with people are not understanding something really, really important about why human beings behave the way we do. Um, that's what the book is about, what I call the phenomenon of the human distress pattern.
Wow.
And yeah, it's about how our minds work and how we're all born with such an intelligent, we're born with such capacity
Hmm.
to be intelligent, to be creative, to be altruistic, to be loving, imaginative. And I can't see that any baby in the world isn't born like that.
Right.
And even those of us that are born in bodies that don't work very well, that doesn't mean to say that we're any different.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. So, um, and then, but what I learned through the whole counselling thing was that we all have that capacity, but we get hurt in different ways during our lives. And that we can recover from it if we're allowed to, if we're given the conditions
Mhm.
in which to recover. Um, and mostly we're not. We're not given those conditions.
Yeah.
And those conditions are in some ways incredibly simple. They mean they need people to listen to us without judging us, without interrupting, without repeating what we'd said, telling us about all their jumping in with all their stories about how they've been hurt the same way, um, giving us advice, all those things. And well meaning though they all are, they get in the way of our work, our own minds working to process things and to get to an end of a thought, even.
Mm.
Um, so what I think we learned to do in what I call this crucible, this experimental community that spread to many countries, was just simply to listen properly, to listen with everything you've got, your ears, your eyes, you know, and to allow a person to use your attention for their own minds to work. And because it's co-counselling, it happened, you change places. So everybody in it also experiences what it's like to be given attention as well as to give it to other people. Yeah, and it just seemed magical. It seemed to me that what happens when people experience that kind of attention is that your mind suddenly works in almost a different way. And you can recover from hurt experiences and no longer be trapped by them, no longer be driven into repetitive and destructive behaviours.
Right.
Free yourself from them. And so that's really what this book is about.
Wow.
But it's
Wow.
not, yeah.
Wow.
But it is based on
Wow.
experience. It's based on, yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. That you would
And
get all of that out of that. That is
yeah,
amazing. Wow. Wow. Well, okay. So this book, how do you want it to help others?
other people. Well, I did wonder that when I wrote it. Because firstly, I just thought, I'm just going to get this out of my head while I can and get it out in the world. I think, I hope a lot of people will get a lot just from reading it. And I illustrated it because back in the day, I used to teach this form of counselling in classes. And I illustrated my talks because I realized people remember images, sometimes a lot more than they remember words. And those drawings are in this little book. I found them and they're in the book. So hopefully you could read the book and it would be like doing a short course. That's one way you could use it. I think you could just dip in and out of it because there's a lot in it. Even though it's a tiny little book, it's very rich in different ideas and different thinking.
Yeah.
And stories, of course, lots of stories. And then at the end of the book, there's a very short piece that is called the guidelines for running a listening group. And that's a practical little bit in the book that if you want to set up in life a way to experience this kind of attention that I'm talking about, it's very easy to do it as long as you follow as long as you follow these guidelines. And again, in a way, they're very simple, but they're not what our culture here in Britain, you in the US, in many places in the world, it's not our culture. So it feels strange, feels like this is not how we normally behave.
Yeah.
But, basically it's about taking turns, asking a good question, listening to the answers in turn, not interrupting, not judging, never commenting ever again on what that person says. So you literally are given this space to think aloud with other people without mattering at all what you say, other than to yourself. So it's not what people most people have not experienced that kind of listening.
I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. Where can people find the book?
It's on Amazon. You can go to my website and find the links. Yeah, you could buy it online. That's the best place to buy it.
Right. Well, we're going to have all of that information in the description box below, so it'll be easy for you guys to actually get that. Thank you so much, Micheline, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to dare to be different. And until next time, guys, bye.